U.S. Navy Amphibious Assault Training, 1942. The early morning sun reflected off the restless waters of the Pacific, casting a deceptive calm over a world teetering on the brink of chaos. In 1942, the United States Navy faced a challenge unlike any other in history: how to project massive combat forces from the relative safety of the sea onto enemy-held shores. These were not simple landings. They were operations that demanded precision, coordination, and extraordinary courage. Soldiers and sailors would step into the surf weighted down by gear, exposed to enemy fire, and entirely dependent on the seamless execution of a plan that left no room for error. This was the crucible in which amphibious assault training was forged, where survival depended on skill, discipline, and adaptability. Landing craft, which had previously been treated as transport vehicles, now became the frontline instruments of war. Crews spent endless hours rehearsing the timing of approaches, the angles of disembarkation, and coordination with covering fire from battleships and cruisers. Training drills were designed to replicate every possible scenario: unpredictable tides, strong currents, and the chaos of simulated enemy resistance. Smoke, noise, and sudden bursts of fire were used deliberately to prepare troops for the sensory overload of actual combat. Repetition became second nature. Soldiers had to move instinctively through the waves, anticipating the unpredictable movements of both water and enemy forces. The Pacific Theater tested these methods under the harshest conditions. At Guadalcanal, landing craft crews navigated narrow channels under heavy artillery fire, and troops fought through obstacles designed to delay or destroy them. These operations highlighted both successes and failures in the training program, prompting constant refinement of doctrine. Every setback was analyzed meticulously: what had worked, what had failed, and how each action could be improved for future assaults. Lessons learned here became the foundation of amphibious warfare doctrine for decades to come. Naval gunfire coordination was developed into an art form. Timing was everything. Too early, and the enemy could recover and re-establish defenses. Too late, and friendly troops would be caught in the open. Training exercises taught sailors to calculate every trajectory, anticipate movements, and execute with split-second precision. The synergy between landing craft, artillery, and infantry became a science. It was tested under conditions designed to push the limits of human endurance. On the European front, the Normandy landings in June 1944 represented the largest amphibious operation in history. Thousands of landing craft ferried tens of thousands of troops toward heavily fortified beaches. Despite months of preparation, chaos reigned as high waves, enemy fire, and logistical breakdowns disrupted plans. Yet the drills and repetitive training paid off. Soldiers and sailors executed complex maneuvers under fire, adjusting on the fly, proving that doctrine and discipline could overcome even the most daunting obstacles. The success of D-Day underscored the critical importance of rigorous training and coordination in amphibious warfare. Human endurance was tested to its limits. Sailors and Marines trained for hours in cold, rough water, often carrying heavy equipment and weapons while simulating battle conditions. Physical strength was important, but mental resilience was paramount. Recruits learned to trust one another, to rely on the cohesion of their units, and to maintain focus amidst fear and confusion. Leadership emphasized decision-making under pressure, teaching that hesitation could be fatal. By the end of World War II, the foundations of amphibious warfare had been laid. The Navy had transformed landing operations from experimental maneuvers into a disciplined science, capable of projecting power across oceans onto hostile shores. These years of foundational training also introduced doctrines that would shape future conflicts: synchronization of firepower and troop movements, integration of naval and ground operations, and the psychological preparation of personnel for the unpredictability of combat. Lessons learned from Guadalcanal, Normandy, and other operations were codified into manuals and training programs, ensuring that the Navy's amphibious capabilities would continue to evolve, adapt, and prepare for the challenges of the Cold War and beyond. Adaptation and expansion. 1950 to 1975, the end of World War II did not mean the end of amphibious warfare. Instead, it ushered in a new era, defined by the tension of the Cold War and the unpredictability of modern conflicts. The Korean War provided a proving ground for the next generation of amphibious doctrine. In 1950, The landing at Insertion demonstrated the critical importance of timing, precision, and environmental understanding. Extreme tides, narrow channels, and fortified positions made this a daunting task. But trained sailors and Marines executed the assault with remarkable coordination. Lessons learned here would inform training exercises for decades, emphasizing flexibility, rapid decision-making, and the importance of mastering local geography. During this period, the Navy expanded its training environments beyond open beaches to include complex coastlines, ports, and riverine systems. Urban combat scenarios and civilian population considerations were integrated into exercises, teaching personnel to operate under conditions of uncertainty. Recruits learned to adapt tactics to rapidly changing environments, preparing for operations in diverse geographic and political contexts. Amphibious assault training became a comprehensive program that combined technical skill, physical endurance, and mental resilience. The Vietnam War presented even more complex challenges. Dense jungles, muddy deltas, and winding rivers transformed the battlefield into a multi-dimensional environment where traditional landing craft could not always operate. Amphibious training incorporated riverine warfare, surprise insertions, and close coordination with Army and Marine units. Helicopters and vertical envelopment tactics allowed troops to bypass heavily defended beaches and insert forces directly into enemy-controlled areas. Training emphasized precise timing, coordination between air and sea units, and the ability to operate under extreme stress. Large-scale exercises during the Cold War incorporated simulations of nuclear, chemical, and conventional threats. Troops rehearsed evacuations, rapid deployments, and multi-unit operations under simulated chaos. Logistics were critical. The movement of personnel, vehicles, and supplies had to be coordinated down to the minute. Training stressed adaptability, problem-solving, and the ability to maintain operational effectiveness even when systems failed or circumstances changed unexpectedly. Human endurance continued to be a central focus. Soldiers and sailors were subjected to long hours in extreme conditions, often performing repetitive drills designed to test physical limits and mental fortitude. Trust and cohesion between units were paramount. Leaders trained personnel to act instinctively as a cohesive force, relying on each other to survive and succeed. Training scenarios became increasingly sophisticated, integrating joint operations with NATO allies and preparing forces for coalition warfare. By 1975, the U.S. Navy had developed a flexible, multi-domain amphibious capability. Forces were trained to operate across open beaches, rivers, deltas, and urban coastlines, using both traditional and modern tactics. Technological innovations, including improved landing craft and helicopter mobility, enhanced these capabilities. The lessons of Korea-Vietnam, the Cold War ensured that amphibious forces remained ready to respond rapidly and effectively to any global threat, blending human resilience with technological precision. Amphibious assault training in this era was not merely about skill. It was about cultivating a mindset. Personnel learned to anticipate the unexpected, adapt under pressure, and maintain discipline amidst chaos. From complex riverine operations to large-scale beach landings, the Navy built a legacy of readiness that would carry forward into the technological age of modern warfare, ensuring that forces were always prepared to project power from the sea onto land with lethal precision. Modern amphibious warfare, 1980s present. The modern era of amphibious assault reflects a world shaped by advanced technology, multi-domain threats, and rapid global mobility. Despite these changes, the core challenge remains the same: projecting power from the sea onto contested land while facing a highly adaptive enemy. Modern amphibious assault training integrates advanced landing craft, high-speed vessels, helicopters, unmanned systems, real-time intelligence, and cyber operations. Exercises are designed to replicate the chaos of actual combat, including urban coastlines, riverine operations, and storm conditions. Training ensures that personnel can operate seamlessly across air, sea, land, and information domains. Sailors and Marines now rehearse complex joint operations involving multiple branches of the U.S. military and allied forces. Command and communication systems are tested under electronic warfare conditions. and every unit is required to perform independently and cohesively in high-pressure environments. Night operations, adverse weather drills, and simulated missile or drone threats enhance realism. Each training scenario is designed to push personnel to the limits of endurance, decision-making, and tactical adaptability. The human element remains central. Even with advanced technology, success in amphibious operations relies on discipline, coordination, and mental resilience. Troops are trained to maintain composure amidst confusion, to trust their leaders, and to act decisively when equipment fails or the environment becomes hostile. Endurance, teamwork, and rapid decision-making remain the backbone of successful amphibious operations, ensuring that technological advantages are complemented by human capability. Modern amphibious training also emphasizes humanitarian and coalition operations. Exercises simulate evacuations, disaster relief, and multinational coordination, reflecting the diverse range of missions the Navy may encounter. Sailors are prepared for high-intensity combat as well as complex stabilization operations, blending lethality with adaptability and global readiness. From the beaches of World War II to the river deltas of Vietnam and the multi-domain battlefields of today, amphibious assault training embodies a tradition of innovation, endurance, and tactical mastery. Naval gunfire, landing craft, helicopters, and infantry operate as a synchronized force, demonstrating the lethal effectiveness of preparation and coordination. The legacy of generations of sailors and Marines, forged through decades of rigorous training, continues to define the U.S. Navy's ability to project power from the sea to land anywhere in the world. This documentary should be narrated with cinematic intensity, highlighting stormy seas, landing craft assaults, helicopter insertions, riverine maneuvers, and modern joint exercises. Emphasize suspense, drama, and historical evolution, while conveying the human story of courage, discipline, and resilience. Each of the three parts tells a chapter in the evolution of amphibious warfare, guiding viewers through decades of strategy, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of operational excellence. The script should maintain a war documentary style suitable for professional production, immersive, AI-generated video, or YouTube narration, providing both historical context and thrilling visual storytelling.